morning, my darlings, my angels, my loves, my he's, she's, and theys. Hello. We are talking about gender today, my he's, she's, and theys. Mods, be ready. We're about to have a lot of angry men in the comments, but I wanted to talk about it. I woke up with my own song in my head, which is a really great day. I love that for me. Oh, let me open the chat so I can see what you guys are saying. Good morning, everyone. Hello. Hello and welcome. I think that it is a wonderful day, coming to you live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. My name is Kayse Malone, and I'm so glad you're here. We're going to talk about gender. I get asked about gender a lot, as you can imagine, just generally being a woman, but as a content creator who is in a largely male-dominated field, or whatever the kids are saying these days, I get asked about gender a lot. I also get asked a lot about gender in relation to how it spurred me to leave the Christian church, because that really was like a huge motivation for me to really start questioning the infallibility of the Bible, why I was actively subjugating myself for the men around me, and doing all the mental gymnastics to justify why women should submit to their husbands, or wives should submit to their husbands, or whatever that super cringe Bible verse is. Good morning, Shadow. Oh, he's all curled up. He definitely knows the routine now of like having my coffee. Like, so we'll be in the living room, we'll have my coffee, and we'll snuggle together, and we have like 10 or 15 minutes of that. And then as soon as I stand up, he goes straight into the bedroom and just curls up on the bed because he knows I'm about to talk to strangers for about an hour. So anyway, he is living his best life. Yes, you are. You're living your best life, as are we all. Yes, good morning. I know we're talking about gender, but it was on my mind. It was on my mind. I get asked about this a lot. I will mention a little bit about why the gender question was so pivotal for me leaving the evangelical Christian church. Also, look how pretty my nails are. It's giving Barbie. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're going to talk about super chill stuff like men and women. Okay. And also, just like a caveat at the very beginning of this, for a lot of the conversations that I'm about to have, I understood that gender was a spectrum, but I think for a lot of people in the Christian church who start to walk away from the Christian church and they start to question the rigid gender binary, at first, it's still very much like the conversation about gender is still kind of under the umbrella of the gender binary. So I know about how many genders I know. So I might slip back into talking as if there were rigid genders. I'm going to try not to, but if we're going to be honest about what it was like to question gender and have that spur me to leave the Christian church, I just did not have the grasp of what the spectrum of gender was like. So just bear with me on that. Forgive me in advance. Yes, infinite genders, praise be. And I do think there is, like, I saw a creator talk about this actually the other day, and I thought it was really interesting. I haven't looked into it, but I do think there is space for an awareness of like what people might call masculine, I don't want to say energies because that sounds a little bit woo-woo, but just like masculine traits, I'll say that, and feminine traits. Just in the very basic construct, all of it's a construct, but just in the very basic construct of like push and pull, or initiation and or giving and receiving, a lot of those different, like the duality of existence itself, I think can be really beautiful to kind of explore and sift through, etc. But this creator I saw the other day said something really interesting that I want to, here we go. Yeah, good luck, mods. Reach out to me if you need any help, but oh my God, good luck. But I saw this creator mention something really interesting about how, I mean, we know the gender binary was part of colonialism, but how indigenous people were really less adamant about sticking to one set of gender expressions, like as in men only exhibiting masculine traits, women only exhibiting feminine traits, and that in indigenous cultures, a balance of both masculinity and femininity was more prioritized, just like across the board. And I really see the value in that. So it's like sometimes when we talk about the gender binary, because we're aware of how harmful it has been to put people into these boxes and just say, sorry, this is what you have to, how you have to express yourself the rest of your life. Like it's very easy to be like, whoa, no gender, whatever. But I do think there is some value in kind of, still making space for like that balance within us all, talking about gender in general. So anyway, I digress. And then I did have a video, which we might get to if I ever, I have a lot to say about gender. From Breaking Down Patriarchy, which is a really good channel. They throw out some bangers. Thank you for the super chat. Check out Jason Whitlock, Black conservative reactionary fighting to preserve the patriarchy, can't stand him. Interesting. Yeah, no, exactly. That's a great point. Thank you for the super chat. Like the reality is this question, like when it comes to gender and patriarchy, like there are more adamant extreme two-spirit representation. That's another way to I think that's another phrase specific to like indigenous cultures, recognizing the balance within and less of a rigidity when it comes to the gender structure. But anyway, whenever I talk about this stuff, whenever anyone talks about gender and like sexual expression, anything to do with any of that, oh my good goddess. Like it is just the most, I think because and I've talked about this before, our sexual expression or alignment with no sexual expression, right? However we recognize and align with expressing pleasure within our body in any way, shape, or form, that is the most us that we can feel, right? Like that is it's like the most vulnerable, the most personal question we can have about ourselves. Like what brings me pleasure? What doesn't bring me pleasure? And whenever we start talking about that and saying, hey, there's a whole wide fucking world of 8 billion people who might get off in different ways. Like it's, I think because people are so fucking afraid of, and also like life is hard, right? Like life is hard and there's so much, there's just like so much legit suffering. Hell is empty and all the devils are here on this planet. We don't need to create a hell because hell exists. It's here. We're here. When you're here, you're Olive Garden. And so I think that the fear of not being desirable to others in that way, like I think the fear of being alone and also the loneliness epidemic, which by the way, I still don't think it's a male loneliness epidemic. Everyone out here is struggling in the dating realm, which is what I want to get into in a second. Hold on. Okay. So for whatever reason, when we're talking about gender and sexual expression, the masses have such a hard time allowing others to just live their lives. Oh my goddess. Like we're so conditioned to want to control other people's bodies. Just like on a basic, just like on the working class level, right? We're all so conditioned to want to control each other because somehow we've been lied to and we've been taught that if someone else can find pleasure and confidence and authenticity in the way that they live their lives, that somehow it diminishes our own authenticity, our own confidence, our own ability to find connection if that's what we want, etc. So like it's a whole thing. I can't talk about patriarchy or gender without people freaking the fuck out. And I really already some of you in the chat Some of you that are, I've barely said anything controversial. If you think that I have been unhinged so far, you really might not be healthy. It really might not be healthy for you to continue forward in this conversation because you're just not ready. You are just not ready. And that's fine. I'm not trying to hate you for that, shame you for that, but oh my good goddess. If what I'm saying makes you so angry and you're so hyped up, first of all, you might just be like actually simping after me, and you should really take a look at that. Second of all, oh my God, there are differences in the male and female brain because we've been conditioned from birth differently. There have been multiple studies that prove that women aren't more empathetic on a genetic level. They are more empathetic because they have been taught from birth to be caretakers, whereas men have not. So congratulations, great point. You're using it to prove a point that you have been lied to take for granted. Anyway, so y'all are gonna freak the fuck out. I know you are. Oh my gosh, bless my mods. I will reconvert to Christianity to pray for my mods because oh my God, this is about to get wild. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so I have talked about this before. I've talked about this extensively. Now, there is, yes, hormones change brain structure too. Brain structure is not as simple as, yeah, that's the point. It's like, it's not as simple as just like, hey, you were born a certain way. That's it. That's how it is. Oh my gosh, humans are so much more complex and contradictory, like just internally contradictory than people want to accept. Like, why is it so hard for us to be like, hey, you can have a widely complex human experience? Oh my gosh, I can't. Okay. All right, when it comes to dating, I follow some very real baddies on TikTok. You guys know I love my TikTok. You guys know that Mill Rights USA, are you on YouTube? That's so funny. Some of y'all, I can't. Thank you for the resubscription on Twitch. Much love, darling. Some of you guys really are so obsessed with me. I wasn't talking about you, but okay. Anyway. Okay. Dating. Yes. All right. Let's get into it. What did I call this stream? Like, what is the name of it? Oh, let's talk about men and women. Yikes. Yeah. Basically. Okay. Dating. Okay. I want to talk about this, so this is just where it is. I need to just say this. This is just stuff I need to say. And this is because, now, some of the for real simps might not like this, but I went on a first date, and he was a really nice guy. And I just, okay. Let's back it up. For a long ass time in human history, I've talked about this before. This is one of the first things I ever ranted about on a live stream. This is back when I was just doing Twitch live streaming, and now I do both. Hey, don't hate on TikTok. Now I do both Twitch and YouTube. The reason that people hate on TikTok is because they prop up YouTube and Twitch as much better platforms. And that is because, in large part, not exclusively, in large part, the majority of users on both YouTube and Twitch are men, while 60% of the users on TikTok are women. And we're talking about very serious stuff. We're talking about very real stuff. That's literally where I learned about Palestine, okay? And yet people shit on TikTok because they think it's frivolous. Why do they think it's frivolous? Because the majority of users are women. Okay, so maybe check that. So, I ranted about this when I was just Twitch screaming. That's a great Freudian slip. When I was Twitch screaming eons ago. I feel like, Lucas, you were there for that. That was forever ago. Oh my goddess. Okay, so it's one of the first rants I went on. And this is about gender. And so, okay. There are so many reasons for this, but I don't think it matters what the reason is for the sake of the argument I'm about to make. There are so many reasons that women are in the workforce. You can argue that it's because of World War II. You know, the men went off to the war, so the women had to man up and go into the factories and start working, and we just haven't left since, whatever. You can argue that the traditional family values are on decline because of secularism or modernism or whatever, and you're scared of change. Whatever you want to call it, I'm not going to argue that for the purpose of this point. For so long, we have been conditioned to believe in the rigidity of the gender binary, okay? That men are protectors and providers and women are caretakers and do the emotional labor of the family unit, the nuclear family unit. Now, for whatever reason, okay, and that was harmful to both men and women, because putting those kinds of expectations on someone because of their, God-given gender, it already sets people up for failure. It just does. Do you know what I mean? Like, it already sets up these expectations and these pressures, both for men and women, to conform. Ew, we don't like conforming in this house. Gross. And so that was already its own thing. Then, a few decades ago, oh, here we go. Yeah, women joining the workforce. Here we go. Okay. Women joined the workforce. I don't care why you think that is. And I also don't care whether or not you think it's a bad thing. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't give a fuck, because the reality is, now that women started providing for ourselves and we realize, and we have, pushed back against the system so hard that we don't have to rely on domestic abuse to get our resources and our food, we can leave domestic abusers and go work for ourselves, even if it's for less pay. At least we're free from the violence that men cause on the scale of the entire motherfucking goddamn world, okay? Like, might not be all men, but it's always a man. It might not be, I want you to hear that. It might not be all men, but it's always a man. I don't know what to tell you. So, you guys are so up in arms about this. You have got to ask yourselves why you give a fuck about this so much. You've got to ask yourself. I know why I do. And it's not because I feel threatened by anyone out there taking away my sense of gender or like my gender identity or how I feel pleasure or anything. I care about this so much because I have lived through constantly telling myself that I am less than to serve my masters, who were the men in my life. Okay. And you know what? Oh my gosh, there's so much to this. That actually might be a very similar reason to a lot of men in the chat freaking the fuck out about gender identity, because guess who also has been conditioned their entire life to be subservient? Do you know who the most submissive gender is? It's not women. Okay, that gets into my point. Hold on, let me go back to, for whatever reason, women entered the workforce, okay? And once we got a taste of financial freedom and providing for ourselves, which, guess what? Capitalism requires us to consider. Sorry, we can't just, live the soft life without participating in capitalism, okay? We, in that sense, we as women had to, decades before men have even had to consider the gender question, we have found our internal balance of masculinity and femininity. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand that they are constructs and that the nature of masculinity is, we are conditioned to see as so tied into capitalism and patriarchy and all of that, when in reality, it's less about being a provider, less about being a protector, and more about, I think, being generous and standing up for what's right. That's the whole thing. I won't try and label masculine traits, because that's just its own can of worms, and honestly everyone kind of has their own interpretation, and that's fine, and it doesn't threaten how I see masculinity and femininity. Do you see how that works? Like, okay, that's fine. So the the entire system was built for one gender, and then the other gender was like, okay, well, if that's how it's going to have to be, we'll work within that system to start taking care of ourselves and fending for ourselves. That's fine. So women started to do that. So now here we are in 2025, and what is framed as the male loneliness epidemic, meanwhile, women are not dating as much either. It just happens to be in large part, not exclusively, but for wildly different reasons. The reason women aren't dating as much is because we have been conditioned from birth to be emotionally intelligent, to be able to be collaborative and understand other people as our equals. Okay? We have been there. We've been there. We've been doing that for thousands of years. You don't have to tell us to clean up after ourselves. You don't have to tell us to do chores around the house, because we've fucking done that. Okay, we've taken care of the kids. We've made sure everyone was at peace within their own, heart and mind. Okay, we understand mental health. I'm not making blanket statements that men aren't, but my point is we've been doing that shit. And so now, because capitalism made it so that, for so many reasons, women had to go into the workforce, one of them being a single income family is not sufficient enough for a single income for one nuclear family is not sufficient enough for the food and bills and all of the things. Women have to be in the workforce. We just fucking do. Okay, there's just so many reasons for that. But now that we're working and we're doing all of this other shit, you've got me fucked up. The fucking thumbs up. I can't. I don't know how to disable it. I've tried. Okay. You've got me fucked up if you think women are going to show up to a first date dolled up to the nines, looking like a badass, okay, making her own money, taking care of her own mental health, being emotionally available for the people in her life, well connected with her friends because she understands the power and value of community. You've got me fucked up if she's going to show up to that date and he's going to talk about himself the whole time. You've got me fucked up if she's going to show up to that date and he's not going to pay. And that really gets people riled up because they'll come at me and they'll be like, wait, hold on. I thought you were about gender equality, but you want the man to pay all the time? You're only for a man with a man for his money. Da 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 da. No, I don't think a man needs to provide for me. I expect him to be generous. I don't think a man needs to protect me. I expect him to stand up for what's right. Okay? That's it. And the reason that real baddies, I don't want to say that. The reason that so many of us still expect a man to pay for that first date, just the first one. I'm not saying out here you need to be, taking me on shopping sprees by week 2, which for the girls who do expect that, good for them. That's great. I don't care. That's fine. But you've got me fucked up if you think that I'm not doing all of this work out here just to exist in a society that's not built for me, going to work every day when my hormonal cycle is on a 28-day cycle, not a 24-hour cycle. I'm giving up my peace to exist in this capitalism. And I know you are too, but honey bunches of oats, women are doing more. Women of color are doing even more. See, don't even pretend to expect to go Dutch with a woman of color. That's such a fucking joke, okay? Women are doing all of this work to just participate in the same world that was made for you. And you want me to show up and split the bill? You want to split the bill with me. With me. That's fucking hilarious. Because I know. Oh my gosh. You've got me fucked up. So when these women show up to first dates, why men expect for it to just be easy? Okay, we've figured out our internal balance. Again, we have had to, even in the human constructed gender binary, we have had to embrace both our masculinity and femininity just to fucking survive. Okay, we're good. We are totally complete. We're fine. So when we show up to the party, I need you to exclusively add value to my life. women are not available. That's what the girls on TikTok are saying. We're so over it. We're not available for men who are kind of half-assing it or who spend an entire first date. Like, it's so frustrating because I love it when men are passionate about their jobs or they have passions or they get excited about things. Like, don't be apathetic. Don't be nonchalant. That's loser shit. Show up, have interest. That's great. But you're going to ask me one singular question about myself and then forget the answer when I literally have to quiz you later because I spent an entire date listening to you talk. And whenever I talk, you're going to be looking around and getting excited for the next chance that you get to speak. This is basic shit. How are you 37 years old? How are you 37 years old? Oh my gosh. This is what I mean though, because women we have to understand how to communicate, because if we don't make it in this world. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know how to answer your question about where do I go. So there's that. Herein lies the loneliness issue. Correct. It's not that. It's so fucked up because men are being told by fucking right-wing grifters and manosphere influencers and fucking incel, propagators that the problem is that women have expectations that are too high. Well, that in part that's true. The trick is that is true. We do have expectations that a lot of men are not living up to, but what these grifters are telling you is that it's because you don't look good enough, is that it's because you don't make enough money, is that it's because you aren't enough of a protector and a provider. We are already doing that for ourselves. We don't need more masculine mumbo jumbo bullshit. We need you to know how to communicate. We need you to have emotional intelligence, and we need you to add value to our lives. So there's that. Okay. So there's that. Oh, it's a song from the 80s. Okay, cool. Yeah, I am a musician, but I don't know a lot of music because I was so sheltered that it took me 10 years to catch up with everyone else. So, you guys are so insane. I can't. I fucking knew this would piss me off, but I needed to say it, okay? I needed to say all of that. And now I want to get into... Does anyone have any questions? Oh my God. And there are good apples out there. Like, I know that I sound like I'm making these blanket statements, and thank you for the grace for this one stream, because I so often am out here championing for men under the recognition that patriarchy harms men just as much as it harms women. Okay, it does. But because they have had the resources for so long in their bag, in their pockets, like breaking free from patriarchy, yeah, we do have that expectation. We do. We have the expectation for you to understand what patriarchy is. So then the question becomes, God, and it's just like, I so rarely even care about this anymore because I throw men under the bus. Yeah, okay. Thanks for not listening to a word I fucking say. It's so frustrating because I never think about this anymore. I really don't. I don't care because I've gotten to the point where I'm so disheartened, and I like, it's almost, this is crazy. But I've realized about myself that I have more of a hope. This is how you know things are bad. I have more of a hope. I can't even say it. I have more optimism about us taking down capitalism than I do about us taking down patriarchy. You know things are bad when I don't trust men that fucking much. And that's not fair. I know. Like, some of my biggest supporters are men. Like, my audience is men. So, which I don't know how you guys are supporting me when I go on these tangents. Oh my gosh. I have more hope for us, like, taking down capitalism. And it's intertwined, right? It is the same question. But the reality is, I have just let go of the gender question so much because, one, I've just like actually found my peace with it. And I really, it's not until I start like actually trying. Yeah, men that agree with me. Thank you, Matt. Thank you guys for like thank you for the ones who understand and are here and showing up and listening to the rants and maybe learning something. I don't know. You guys are awesome. We all have a lot to learn. I still have internalized misogyny. Like, it's just, I very rarely get hyped up about this stuff. And I thought that we could take advantage of it because you guys ask me about gender so much. And I'm like, well, look, I'm thinking about it this morning because I'm like, thank you for the super chat. The queen is the most powerful piece in chess, correct? But I woke up like thinking about this stuff and I was like, you know what? People ask me to talk about gender all the time. I thought maybe we could take advantage of me caring about it today. For the most of the time, I'm really pretty like, I've come to peace with living in a man's world. Like, this is just what it is. I'm okay with that. And I also, it is important for me to be an advocate for men under patriarchy, because I do think that like, if there is any hope for us to dismantle patriarchy, it is going to have to be on the behalf of men. It really is. Like, you guys are going to have to be the ones to decide, like, hey, this is harming everyone. Like, even young boys, like even me, you know, this sucks. We can do better. Like, women can be out here bringing awareness to the issues all day long, but it is so ingrained in how, like, that's why we talk about the colonization of our own minds, and how all of the propaganda and the bullshit and the messages and the narratives that we receive from birth in this society affect how we view the world and how we view other people. And there are so many great people of all genders, all sexual expressions, all of it, right? Who are out here, and we are pushing back. And just by showing up and listening to each other rant about their first date that went poorly, you know, that's part of it. That's part of the work. Thank you for the super chat, Brad. She's a sweetie. Thank you for addressing gender issues, is what she said, not me saying that to her. Okay. Yeah, I know that it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to kind of question, oh, are the labels that I give for myself, are the gender-based expectations I have for myself ones that were imposed upon me, or do I actually align with them, right? And that's why I often talk about like people who come out as homosexual or trans or non-binary, anything. Like, I think that like, I've thought this for a long time, and I don't know if maybe this is like not PC to say, but I actually do think choice is a part of that process that I want to like really validate, because the choice there is choosing to be authentic to one's alignment, right? The choice, like I mean that in the sense of empowerment and agency is really important to me. I feel like we are just absolutely like browbeaten with submission and conformity and falling in line and only expressing yourself with this gender and this sexuality, based on how you were born, whatever. And when people resist that and push back against that, and they choose to express their actual alignment. So like in that sense, I'm not saying it's a choice, right? I'm saying it is a choice to express one's authentic nature, who they really are. That is a choice that I want to validate and say, hey, you used your agency. Good for fucking you. That's hard. I'm like almost getting teary-eyed. Like, that is so hard to push back against the traditional narratives, to push back against what is so much easier. It is so much easier to go with the flow. It is. It's so much easier to never question the powers that be and the ways that we talk about ourselves, because as we are seeing literally in this country, so many people just live the rest of their lives swallowing whatever Fox News says, swallowing whatever their pastor says, you know, whatever the fucking manosphere influencer says. And I want to give props to the people who come out in some other way, and in any way, shape, or form. You can even like literally coming out as a feminist is resisting that narrative, right? A feminist, like man or woman, or anything in between, right? So I think it's because we guys are into this pit of patriarchy indirectly before we realize. To be honest, even for me, finding out the structure seems weird for most men. The guys who still try gets into it a lot. Yeah, and look, again, so it's like, and I really commend the men who come out here and start questioning this stuff as well, because as I often say, for any deconstruction, it is a journey. It's not a destination. Like, even I am not at this point of like, hey, I'm enlightened now. I really don't like it when spiritual gurus or spiritual spaces, I know I call myself spiritual, but I don't, I do wish there was a different word for it. I don't know what to call it yet. Because a lot of the spiritual spaces, first of all, also a male-dominated field, spirituality somehow is still run by men. Ugh. But the whole like, oh, here's how you become enlightened. What do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? What do you mean you're seeing it as a destination? I can't. I can't be available for like, oh, sorry, yeah, now I'm 33 years old and I had like a good enough plant medicine experience and I actually get it all now. Like, I've got it. Like, there's nothing else I can learn. Bro, what? No, absolutely not. Thank you, Vincent, for the super chat. I was raised by a single mother, and she showed me how hard life is for women. She's the strongest influence on me and direct education of feminism. Yeah, shout out to single mothers. Yeah, I can't even imagine dating as a single mother. Oh my goddess. And I've talked to friends who have been single mothers, and they experience the same thing. I was literally talking about this with a coworker who was a single mom when she started dating her now husband. And she said she chose him because on their first date, for the first like many years of their marriage, like, you know, of them knowing each other and now they're married, he was constantly asking about what was it like to raise your son, you know, what is it like being a single mom? How are you? All of these questions about her. And she said it was so weird for her because men just aren't conditioned. And honestly, like it should be a recognition of how like sad it is that men don't know how to, that is a blanket statement, but men are not trained as in how to connect and how to exercise their empathy. Okay. Like that is a very, very like heartbreaking drawback of patriarchy, because you guys are taught to be strong and to not cry and to not show weakness and not show vulnerability. And that ends up, I think Lucas said earlier, castrating your empathy, right? Like your way of connecting with people. And it's heartbreaking. So you show up at these dates and you just talk about what you have been trained to talk about your entire life, your job. Because that is what you think, that is how you have been taught to think is your value identifier. And that's heartbreaking. You got, if no one's told you this, men in the chat, if no one's told you this, you are so much more than your job. Okay? The value that you bring to this world has nothing to do with your resume. I promise you that. It is how you show up for people in your community. It is how you are doing random acts of kindness for people who will totally forget about it tomorrow. Okay? Like, I want you to know that if no one has told you that. Thank you for the super chat and a great fucking point. Religion is a business created by men. Yeah, you know what? We'll wrap up with that. I didn't even get to the video. I should have known that I had plenty to say. Religion was created by men for men. Okay, I'm going to wrap up with this. I don't think it is possible for Christian feminism to exist. I don't think that's a real thing. I think it is an oxymoron. Now, the caveat I always give with that is whenever someone comes up to me and says, hey, I'm a Christian feminist, I'm going to be like, okay, that's great. It is not my business to tell you how to identify. It is not my business to tell you how to label yourself. I'm not going to be an annoying prick and say, actually, technically, X, Y, and Z. Even though I fundamentally disagree with that concept in the first place, I don't think it's a real thing. I think you're being lied to. I think you're being manipulated. It's not my business to tell people what to believe or what to think. Do you see how that works? Do you see how it's like actually possible to live in a pluralist, tolerant society when people are just like, hey, I disagree with you, but cool. Cool. You want to call yourself he, him? Vibes. That's that person's business. Okay, so first of all. Second of all, when you tell me that you are a Christian feminist, okay, fine. You want to choose that label? Fine. But if you're going to ask me about Christian feminism, that's not possible, because you cannot be a feminist while worshiping men. Oh, that's not what true Christianity is. That's not what my Christianity is. Okay, so you don't think Jesus is more important than everyone else on the planet? No, I actually do. I think he's like the pinnacle of what it means to be a good person. Like, I just really think his values are what I want to strive for, and for that reason, I think Jesus is the ultimate person that we need to live our lives like. Oh, okay, so you do think a man is the best person in human fucking history? In all of human history, you think a man is better than everyone else? Don't worry about all of the countless women alive today who are feeding more than 5,000 people on a mountain, who are serving the poor without the accolades of an entire goddamn religious institution for thousands of years worshiping them as a result. Don't worry about any of that, okay? You're telling me that because, let me guess, because some men from a pulpit in your life told you that this man is better than all the other people in this world, you're going to tell me that you can be a feminist with that. I'm not available. I'm not personally available for that. And disagree. I disagree when people say, well, God is genderless, well, Allah is genderless. False. Then why aren't you using she, her pronouns? Okay, why aren't you using they, them pronouns? I bet you fucking say he, him. I bet you say he, him when you're talking about God. And so all of a sudden you do care about pronouns, okay? For the more traditional Christians, you don't like it when other people impose their pronouns on you, which it's like, hi, respect of other people. Hello, being kind when someone says, this is how I identify. And I've used this example before too, and I'll include it here as well. I also fundamentally disagree with the concept of a woman changing her last name to her husband's. Okay, I will never do that. That is a personal choice. I will never, in any way, shape, or form, think that it is my responsibility to change my last name to become a part of my husband's family. False. Inaccurate. I don't even know if I'm predisposed for marriage in the first place, but that's another question. But I personally fundamentally disagree. I fundamentally disagree with the idea of changing my last name for a man. However, I have people in my own life who aren't even Christian. When people come up to me and say, hi, I'm Mrs. Smith, guess what I'm going to say? Hi, Mrs. Smith. Like, that's what it means to respect other people's choice to identify or call themselves whatever the fuck they want. So just because you fundamentally disagree with someone changing their pronouns, that doesn't give you the right to be a disrespectful prick, okay? Asshole. You're walking up to me, Mrs. Jones, and saying, hi, I'm Mrs. Jones. I took my husband's last name, and I think that I need to submit to him. Hi, 100% disagree with that. I think that's literally harmful. I think that you telling your kids that is harmful. I think you're brainwashing your children that that's what you're going to propagate in this world. Fuck that. I disagree. But I'm going to call you Mrs. Jones. Because that is how it works. That is what it means to live on a planet with 8 billion goddamn people. All right? So, so there's that. And then you're out here saying, oh, also pronouns, like, pronouns, you're born with certain pronouns and that's it. So, like, you refuse to even consider the question of people's pronouns, when you disagree with them. Meanwhile, you're out here saying he, him about the creator of the universe? I cannot. Oh my goddess. No, you cannot be a Christian feminist. I disagree with that. I don't think that is a real thing. Okay? You're out here saying that Jesus, who, by the way, never condoned slavery. Is that the right word? Condoned? Never spoke out against slavery. Jesus never spoke out against slavery. He never spoke in favor of LGBTQ people. You can call yourself a progressive, humanist, Christian all you want. It's not enough. It's not enough. Oh my goddess. Thank you for the subscription. Oh my goddess. No, there's no iteration of you telling me Kayse's filthy mouth and dark black heart is spitting. For those of you who aren't familiar, we had a chat. God, I feel like I saved it somewhere. I feel like I saved it in the literal file called Comments from Men. Here it is. I literally saved this in my file called Comments from Men. Kayse's filthy mouth broadcasts her darkened heart. For those of you who weren't there for that, that is the comment that my mod is quoting. So, just saying, I need to switch my medication. No comment. Never condemned. Yeah, never condemned. Thank you. Not condoned. I was like, what? Okay. No, I'm not available. I'm not available for all of the mental gymnastics you're doing and all of the ways you're trying to say, but, no. God is a he, him situation. You can say, oh, I meant genderless the whole time. Then why aren't you using the interchanging words of God and goddess? I'm out here saying, oh my goddess, and I don't even believe in deities. It's not that hard. Start saying goddess. What do you mean? You can't handle the idea that maybe there is a reason that religion was created by men and for men, and that is why all of the monotheistic deities are he, him pronouns. Okay? The polytheistic religions, they were fine with the fluidity of gender, and half the time they have some iteration of like a non-binary or a hermaphrodite or whatever deity. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to switch to goddess because I say a lot of mean things about God. And then they corrected it to lowercase God. That's actually hilarious. Well done. I don't know, man. We're out here. I had things to say. Obviously, I had things to say. Because I'm not about to continue going on these dates, on these first dates, with men who don't understand at least half of what the fuck I said. At least half of what the fuck I said. Oh, thank you for that super chat. You are a deity. That's what men don't want you to know. I know that I'm a deity. Yeah, you've got me fucked up. If you think that, oh my God. Okay, I need to calm down. Like, for the sake of my own peace. That's another reason I don't often bring up the gender question, because when I am feeling it, when I am pissed off about it, boy howdy am I out here saying it. Hello, 20 Twitch viewers. You guys are great. Don't feel shy about subscribing. You get access to the fun Discord channels. In Spain, women don't change their last names when they marry. Hell yeah. Hello, 2025. Where did we go? What did we do wrong again? Okay, so a lot of the rage at the patriarchy, as I try to consistently say, is actually not about the everyday men who are at fault. Whenever we talk about how it's not all men, but it's always a man, that is true. But that does not mean the fault of the entire patriarchy is on everyday men, okay? There were people in power who specifically set up this gender divide, one, to keep us non-connected and literally like castrated your empathy. That's a great phrase. Castrated your own empathy so that you did not have emotional connectivity to your partners or other women in your life. That was an intentional manipulation on behalf of the ruling powers that be, etc. And also, so that, also, by the way, the rigid gender roles end up directly intertwined with the commodification of our bodies. So the way that the establishment will talk about men and women and those very rigid gender divides is men are providers and workers, okay, and soldiers. The commodification of men's body is to go to war, is to work in the fields. All of those narratives that you have heard over and over again, they're using your bodies for its labor. And I shouldn't even have to tell you that, like, the commodification of women's bodies is for our sexuality and our reproductive ability, right? That's it. We're just baby making machines. We're there to entertain men. That's it, right? So even still, and the way that we're commodified, it's still all for men. Isn't that fucking convenient? But the way that the system is built, like, it's going to take everyday men to push back and like, if we have a chance of taking down patriarchy, like, it's going to take everyday men to get on board with this concept. But I don't think any actual feminist out here is legitimately blaming everyday men. Like, there are people in power who did this. No, there's no such thing as a healthy patriarchy. There's just not. I am on a feminist rage song kick recently. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, bro. I heard that in Sumerian, the word worship is also the word they use for work. That's interesting. I don't know what to do with that. That's why guys saying sex workers are exploiting their bodies. Oh, I lost it. With so many guys and women too, are exploiting their guys. Oh yeah, with so many guys and women too with permanent work-related injuries. Oh, I know. Yeah, don't get me started on sex work. I literally don't have time to get into all of that. Some of y'all. I swear. All right. Yeah, so there's that. There's a super chill stream that I wanted to cover. Does anyone have any last minute questions? Now I'm going to go into my capitalism job. Yeah, we talked about trans a little bit, but not like as a real subject. How's Shadow? Shadow's good. Shadow is curled up. Whenever I hop off stream, I go like snuggle him just a little bit longer before I go into my job. You guys, I don't want to go into my job. I don't want to go. Okay. All right, you guys. I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you for the great stream. Thank you for the great stream. Thank you for probably the work you did behind the scenes, keeping it at least decent out there. I appreciate everyone for being here and listening to an important rant in regards to things that I really care about. Every once in a while I'll pop off about this. So you're welcome. Hopefully that feeds the masses. You want to talk about feeding the 5,000 with 2 loaves of bread and 5 fish or whatever the fuck. I'm out here feeding the masses with 45 minutes of unhinged tangents about patriarchy. You're welcome. Thank you for the last super chat. Women are superior to men. Watch nature. I would never say outwardly and openly that women are better than men. I would never say that. I mean, if I were to, it's probably because we've had to do the work of balancing masculinity and femininity before men have had to, but I would never say that. That would be crazy. That would be so crazy. All right, you guys. I love you guys so much. Be safe, be well, make choices. Don't let patriarchy get you down. Yes, I've read the Bible. Oh my goddess. Okay, yeah. Oh my goddess. Okay. Love you guys so much. Be safe, be well, make choices. Go out there, kick ass, take names, whatever they do. Boys will be boys. I don't know. Okay, ignore that part. All right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you for all of the love and support. We have fun conversations. If you're a man in a relationship with a woman or you're about to go on a date, ask her some questions. That's it. That's the final word.